Hey guys, how you doing? Terrell here, Big Go Bell Media. How you doing today?
It's real doing
Good.
good. How are you?
Big day, New York Comic Con's right here today, and
Yeah.
lot going on. But we're here to talk about the brand new show that you guys have, and how we got here. First, hey Joe, hey Sean, how you doing?
Hey,
Howdy,
good.
howdy.
Uh, so Scavengers Reign. I can't exactly say this was on my radar of things I knew was coming.
Yeah,
Just kind of came out of nowhere.
yeah.
And upon watching it, I noticed like you guys have a very unique kind of samurai jack animation going on here. What made you decide to choose this particular style of animation for the show?
I think it's just a animation style that we're used to working in. We all come from like a kind of a indie animation background, and we are big fans of kind of I don't know a much more kind of like old school way of animating and doing all the in betweens between keyframes and that kind of thing. I think that was like a I mean, and then I would say that like we have um the obvious influences, Satoshi Kon and Atomo and that kind of thing. But
Yeah, I would say like something like I feel like we that this it's channeling stuff that I feel like we grew up and was probably our entryway into animation. Like
Right.
yeah, Miyazaki and Akira and whatever, these things that are just like sort of part of our bloodstream now. But I don't know, it's funny. Yeah, it's sort of that was probably one of the less self-conscious parts of the process just because yeah we're coming from drawing the style to me is really cool. It's a collaboration with a bunch of artists, and also Charles, the co-creator, is also the art director,
Right.
so it's him injecting it just with all of his influences. And
yeah,
but I don't know, I think it was just trying to make something that looked cool and could like bear the brunt of this story that I mean from our perspective is sort of like these very fantastical places and creatures and things, but then also this very kind of like human grounded story too. And so I think trying to find a style that could straddle both those things kind of effectively.
Speaking of story, what where did this particular idea come from? Was this like an original IP from your brains here, or was this like drawn from something else and it just happened to make its way to animation?
well, it was based off the short that we did, and the short was kind of I at the time I was thinking a lot about like Rube Goldberg machines and just the sort of how that exists in nature, and kind of seeing uh the kind of like cause and effect in a Rube Goldberg machine kind of like playing out in nature, which is like and these characters kind of like using these organisms and the things around them as like a utility. And I think that was just I've just and thinking a lot about symbiotic relationships, and so I was watching a lot of like nature docs and you know uh reading like James Lovelock and just stuff about the Gaia, all that stuff. Lynn Margulis, that was all a pretty big influence. And then the series kind of developed just of like it's sort of the same planet. It's sort of it's vast. There's a lot of different kinds of ecosystems and everything on it, but now you have three sets of characters, and you're kind of like following that story arc. So we that kind of just felt like it was starting from zero, and building these kind of like story arcs that
Right.
I
Yeah, people surviving maybe in different ways. And when we started, I felt like it was just trying to like thematically think about, how different people with different psychologies and emotional frameworks would deal with a situation like this. Like, do you immediately just fall into insanity and despair? Do you go, well, this is my life now, so I better just enjoy it? Or do you go, I'm getting off this planet, I'm going, Matt Damon and The Martian or whatever? I think it's like each one is kind of valid. And I think that let us like inject so much of our own like experience and psychology into each kind of character's starting point. And then, it's the fun of this journey where you evolve and change and, encounter yourself in the midst of all this strange stuff.
Do you guys already have like this kind of like mapped out like how you want this to to go already, or is it just like we're just kind of hoping we get to this next season and figure it out from there?
For season 2 plus.
Just the story. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have it mapped out for quite a number of seasons.
Yeah.
I always think, especially being like as somebody that reads comics and manga and stuff like that, like is there a contingency if something happens to like the writer or something like that, like especially dealing with like One Piece and stuff like that?
Yeah,
like, you want to see how that ends. Like, please tell me he wrote the rest of this so we can know.
I know.
Yeah.
And so far from what I've seen in the show, it's really good. It's like it's super intense. It really has you just really uncomfortable at times. Trying to watch it. Some of the wild methods that they use to survive, like you said, is just like, yeah, if a regular human landed on this planet, I'd probably be dead, because there's no way. I'm not trying any of that. I'm not putting aliens on my face. Just leave me in the pod. In terms of casting here, your casting is amazing. I don't know where you guys got the budget, but I appreciate it. You know what I mean? What was some of the choices? I'm not sure if you guys had any influence on who you got for what role. But what was like some of your top choices? Like you had to have this person for a particular role.
Well, I guess I would say casting was fun because I felt like we got to really we got a lot of support in who we wanted to cast in roles, and couldn't have been happier with everyone and their performances. But I would say that a big difference was we really tried to like direct the voice acting in kind of a naturalistic way, and tried to like, I think maybe there's, when you're doing animation voice acting, you go into like a different mode where you're kind of like laying on some extra sauce, which is great. It's like it works. But I think for us, it's like we were trying to be like, no. Like if you have an accent in your real life, that should be your voice on the show. You should just use your normal voice. So it was a fun experience when we were casting, that we actually watched a lot of like just like interviews with actors who we were interested in, just to be like, what is just the truly candid voice that this person has. And yeah, I don't know. It just made it really fun, and trying to just capture these moments and just try to make it. I think it's like, because there's so much strange stuff, I think trying to get these naturalistic performances just to create this contrast of, trying to make it feel like real people. But then I don't know, it's like casting people just for their great voices and really good performances. And yeah. And I would say Joe told the story yesterday. I'm going to steal it today. That an interesting thing happened too, just in this quest for naturalism, where in the pilot episode, there's this part where the character Sam is looking through this like instruction manual, and there was a scripted line for him that he was going to read, and then in the editing process, Joe pulled the between take. Just you leave it recording, and it's like the line that's in the actual episode is the actor Bob just like kind of going through the script, going like, okay,
he's like mumbling.
Yeah, he's like mumbling as he's like psyching himself up for like, okay, what's happening in this scene? Okay,
and just because it's like it's real, it's like
very,
it
you couldn't script it and you couldn't direct it because it is just real, and it's not. It's like just immediately recognize it as being real, and then lucky for us, it sort of functions in the scene in the exact way that the scripted line would have functioned, but this is just so much more real. And
it's why it's like we talk about like the Safdie brother movies, like they have an ability to kind of like find like the naturalism and the way that these characters act. It just feels real.
Yeah,
like these characters really feel kind of like that they're actually
how people talk.
Yeah, it doesn't need to get all theater all the time,
right. Yeah, exactly.
Because people watch animation, man, they harsh when it comes to voices. Like you one wrong delivery. I guess kind of take me behind the scenes of like some of the production. What's the time frame on this? Like a couple of years of your lives here, like 6 months, 3, like animation is like it feels like it's 10 years and it finally comes out. What's the process on this as far as length of time?
Yeah, I mean, for the series, I think it was about 15 months, something like that. So yeah, like a year and a half, and we made the pilot. It was kind of the journey was kind of funny because we made the short back in 2016, 2017, and then a couple years passed. Then we made the pilot with Adult Swim, and then there was kind of a lull, and we weren't sure if it was going to get picked up. And then Max picked it up, and then we did the series. So, but once production started on the series, it was kind of moving pretty fast. And it's sort of like you're working on multiple episodes at a time. It sort of starts to, there's a waterfall, the cascading effect that happens, and yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's interesting because, like we said, we're kind of coming more from the independent animation side of things, where you're kind of dealing with things end to end and very hands on. So I think it was a funny thing where, I don't know if a year and a half sounds like a long time, but for us it was like it's so much. We really tried to be detail oriented and also just really tried to get our hands into the process. But then when you're talking about just this volume of footage, it becomes overwhelming really quickly. But I think the team did a really great job though of really trying to make every episode feel special and really make moments feel special as much as we could.
Yeah, you said, like, I don't think I've ever worked on anything for a year and a half straight. Like the attention span. Does that allow you time for any other project? Like if you while you're in the midst of that, or is just that's your sole focus?
I think
it should be your sole focus, but we kind of can't help ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's also funny because I feel like we could have worked on it for 5 years. It's really fun. And if you had given us the time, we would have taken it. But it's probably good that they said a year and a half and that's all you get.
Yeah.
I was about to ask, like, what was the stopping point? What was the period there and like where you knew where to stop? Like you said you could have kept going. Like, obviously besides them, like, hey, it's time to put this out. Like, where did you feel comfortable? Like, okay, I think this is the episode where we can kind of cut the brakes here.
There was a combing process throughout, and we would. I'm a big fan of kind of getting even like thumbnails and rough boards in a timeline in an edit, and just seeing how it plays, and then as it's getting updated with rough animation and all that stuff, kind of just seeing the edit develop. And I think it was just ultimately like we did these like final reviews where we would watch it down, and it was just a feeling of like, if nobody catches this thing, then I'm just not going to say anything about it. We're all looking at the little flaws and little things like, this blink did not.
Right. It's holding too long without the pupils moving.
And at a certain point, it was like, we all had these kind of like our own kind of list of things that we wanted to address. And it's just like, if no one else is bringing it up, then let's just.
Yeah. But I would say probably the stopping point was if it felt good.
If it felt good,
stop.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll guide me into my last question here, but, and again, this is kind of like on the back end side. I don't know if this has anything to do with you, but why was Max kind of like your choice of this is where we're gonna premiere this versus like the other places that you probably could have chosen from?
Max took a chance on us. Honestly, it was
it's an unconventional show, and so I think it's credit to Max that they wanted to do it. And I think from our perspective, they were such good partners in being really supportive of us making it the way that we like initially wanted to make it, and supporting even the strangest ideas we had. So I don't know. I think we're just so happy because I think that in hindsight now there's just a feeling of like, oh, people could have pushed up against and just had issues with so many different things in this show. And so to have a really supportive partner felt like we were very lucky.
And I'm not sure like if Max and Adult Swim are like kind of still one and the same now, like under the same umbrella, but it definitely gives you like that Adult Swim feel, like, the one of those where like you turn on Adult Swim, you don't know what you're going to get at 12 o'clock midnight. That's what this feels like. You're like, okay, let me watch the rest of this. But now, like you said, Max is taking more chances on animation. We just got that Superman show. We just got that new hair show that just dropped on Max. It's just so many different people are getting, like I said, more opportunity to showcase stuff that's non-conventional. So I'm glad that you guys are able to get through the door. Like I said, I've watched it. It's really, really good. I'm definitely going to be telling everybody about it. I really appreciate it.
Amazing. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
But look, I appreciate you guys doing this interview with me. I hope we can see each other sometime during New York Comic Con if you're there. But other than that, enjoy your day.
Okay.